Hello and welcome. It's a new video, and this one revolves around parsing in general and parsing in Firelands in particular. To start with, I am playing two hunters on Gehennas in this guild in Exile. It's a sort of semi-casual guild, I would say. Lots and lots of casual players, dead players like me. So, how did it go? Well, obviously, on one hunter, I ended up at 98.1. On the other one, I ended up at 99. Why the difference? Well, it's quite simple, really. One hunter was playing in guild raids, the other one was playing in a pug sort of environment, so, it is what it is. Now, am I pleased with the results? Yeah, I am, compared to the previous expansion, meaning Wrath of the Lich King, when I was, looking at parses there. I was mostly around 97, I want to say. So 96 here, 98 here, 97 here. So at the time I would have called myself a 97 player. Now that is not exactly how things work, and you'll see what I mean later on. The reality is that I was playing in a guild with players who thought they were much better than they actually were. I don't want to say too much about it right now. The guild had a very, very nasty side to it, and I don't actually think anyone wants to hear about it, so I'll skip over that part. Either way, the point I was making is that I went from 97 to, well, 98, 99, depending on how you want to look at it. Now, let's talk a bit about parsing. Up to, I would say, a 99 parse, I think it's down to how well you play and how well others in your raid play. The problem I've got is that between 99 and 100, you depend on so many more things. One of them being the overall raid DPS. What that means is that everyone in the raid must aim to get a 99 parse. You have to sort of grief the raid by trying to go with one healer and one tank as much as possible, and with 8 DPS. Just because obviously it affects the overall raid DPS, which in turn affects your bloodlust uptime, trinket proc uptime, potion uptime as a percentage, right? So, is 100 possible? Not for most bosses. That's what I'm gonna say. My answer is going to be not for most bosses. To try to explain what I mean, on Balrog, for example, I reached at some point number 2. I was ranked as the second hunter worldwide for Balrog. You can see me in the 7th place now, but if you look at it, I was there on January 8th, and that was the 2nd place. The rest of them got higher parses, well, days or weeks after. So, yeah, I got the 2nd place. That's not 100 though, that's 99. Now, granted, I fucked up a lot. Like, this was one day when I was extremely distracted with other stuff. I didn't notice extremely, and I mean extremely obvious things. So let's just take a look at the buffs to make that clear. You can see that I did not have a flask on. It had expired and I failed to notice. You can see that I did not have synapse springs, the engineering tinker for gloves. I had just upgraded the gloves. I forgot to apply the tinker, so yeah. I didn't have the AQ40 set, so I could only use rapid fire once, because it's a 5-minute cooldown and this fight takes less than 5 minutes, right? And if you were to compare this to the person in the first place here, right, you look at his buffs, he's got the flask on, obviously he's got synapse springs on the gloves, and he uses rapid fire twice, meaning that he already had the AQ40 set. But in an ideal world where I paid attention and I also had the AQ40 set, perhaps I could have got a 100. But that's it. Just just Balrog. No other fights. Just this one. Let's see why. So, in order to do that, let's go through every fight. Shanox, you can easily get a 99 there. Even if you're unlucky, you get bad RNG, you know, face rage, getting pulled out of it with Hand of Protection instead of a crit, whatever. Eventually, you're going to get a lucky day with decent RNG, and you're going to get a 99. You can see that I got a 99 on skill, I got a 99 on Ultra Nuke, so definitely doable. RNG does play a part there. It's mostly about, you know, maybe avoiding face rage, maybe not getting targeted by traps, being forced to move at the wrong time, and so on. But you can get a 99. As for a 100, definitely not possible in a casual guild, in a dead guild. In order to try to explain that again, let's look at this thing. The hunter who got a 100 here for Balrog. In his raid, the number 1 DPS was a demo warlock with 46.8 thousand DPS. Right, so 46.8. In my raid, our warlock, another demo warlock, he was at 33.7, so 13k DPS right there, missing. You want a 100, you're going to have everyone struggling to get 99, 100, whatever. Otherwise, it's just not going to happen. Well, the problem, one of the problems to be exact, is that in here you're sort of screwed, and there's just nothing, and I mean nothing you can do about it. Unless everyone is actually struggling to parse a lot, then you're not going to be able to do a fucking thing. It is how it is. Or rather, it is what it is. Can you do anything to change that? Yeah, you can. You can try to change the guild you're in and always aim for a guild full of what people call tryhards, right? Whether you choose to do that or not is beyond the point. For now, we'll get back to that in a moment. The following 3 fights, Lord Rylith, Bestilock, and Alice Razor, they're all about griefing the rest of the raid. And I'm going to try to explain that in a moment. So let's just try and, you know, let's take a look at Lord Rylith. The hunter in the first place, this guy, right? And immediately we look at damage. We can see that the rest of the raid, other than the tank, of course, they were all holding back, not doing any DPS to ads in order to let the hunter parse. With the ads up and with the hunter being the only person who was actually DPSing the ads, well, obviously, that hunter would have been able to AoE for most of the fight, and as such, of course, he would get an extremely good parse. The only problem is that in order to do that, you have to sort of grief the raid. Everyone else is going to get a shit parse because they're not doing any damage to ads. It is unfortunately the same story on other fights. So if you look at Bestilock, you look at the hunter in the first place, and you go to the Cinderweb Spiderlings, right, you can see everyone else in the raid is holding back. They're not doing any DPS, and I mean any DPS, to the ads, letting the hunter once again AoE, and as such, they're letting him parse. If we were to compare this to one of my typical raids, let's just pick the highest parse, really, because why the hell not? That would be this 86. And we look at Cinderweb spiderlings, you can see that 3 other people were DPSing them. As such, I could not really maintain high DPS because the fucking ads were dying too fast. And in a 10-player raid, as a hunter, you have to run between those 3 spawn points and you're gonna get fucked DPS wise. So yeah, once again, you do have to grief the rest of the raid in order for you to get a good parse. It's a similar story on Alice Razor. We take the hunter in the first place, we look at his buffs, right, and straight... Oh, sorry, I forgot to select the hunter. And straight away you can see that the guy took 3 feathers and he was there for flying. You can see the buffs there. And because he was flying, he was getting the buff, and of course he was doing more DPS. But that actually implies griefing the raid, and I will try to explain that in a moment. You can see that he was actually in the 3rd place with 64,000 DPS. And it's like, okay, so fucking what? What's the problem? Well, here's the problem. If you go and look at what other classes can do with that buff, you can see druids doing 151,000 damage. You can see mages doing 140,000 damage. You can see, I don't fucking know if there are any priests actually DPSing. Yeah, 113,000 damage. You can see the shamans go up there. I don't know if I've seen one. 83,000. If you go and look at warlocks, it's 108,000. If you go and look at warriors, it's 122,000. If you go and look at paladins, it's 157,000. So what I'm getting at is that, in short, regardless of which other class you were sending up there, like fucking DKs are at 172k, right? Any other class can do about double what a hunter can do up there using the buff. Close to double, in some cases more than double, in some other cases close to 3 times the damage done by a hunter. So obviously, if you as a hunter are taking the buff, you are griefing the raid, because any other class is better than you in terms of, flying and DPSing Alice Razor. Balrog is the one fight where things are somewhat fair. You do depend a lot on RNG and on raid DPS, raid performance, but it's, other than that, it's as close as it could be to the patchwork sort of fight, where you don't normally have to move a lot unless you get that link, unless you have to run in to get a crystal because someone else fucked up, got the debuff, or they died or whatever. And like I said, on this one, I was number 2 in the world for a while. Majordomo is close to being a fair fight, but not really. And what I mean by that is that there is a specific tactic that you can use to avoid getting the seeds. As such, you can avoid getting that explosion, which resets your aura of concentration, right? So if we look at this kill, for example, where I got a 99 parse, right? And if you look at damage taken, you can see that absolutely no one got any damage from the burning seeds. The only damage they took was from the orbs, and that was just the tank and 1 healer, which was kind of necessary. He was basically protecting the rest of us from getting hit by the orbs. There is a certain trick you can do there to avoid getting these burning seeds, and to try to explain that better, we are going to take a quick look at what things looked like for my hunter. Let's pick this fight. It's another 99, and if you look at the damage taken, absolutely everyone got hit by the seed, right? They got the seed, different durations, but they all resulted in that explosion which resets your aura of concentration, right? Well, if you're trying to get to 100 there, you absolutely have to use that tactic, that exploit that prevents the boss from putting burning seeds on you. If you're not doing it, you're fucked. You're never going to get 100. Ragnaros is again a case of sort of getting extremely lucky or griefing the raid or both. To try to explain that, it's not so much about the damage you do to Ragnaros himself, it's mostly about damage done to ads. And there are three types of ads that matter there. Number one, the lava scions, the big ones, right? The two big ads. Then you've got the molten elementals, which are, they get out of those burning of molten seeds thrown where you were a few seconds ago. And then you've got the Sons of Flame when he puts down the hammer. Now, how many Sons of Flame you're going to be able to hit depends on which side they spawn and how close they are to each other, whether you're able to multi-shot them, trap them or not. Because if you're not able to do that because they're too spread, or because you're on a side where only 3 of them spawned and they're spread all over the place, then you're not going to do a lot of DPS to them. On the Molten Elementals part of things, there are a few different tactics that people use, and if you're using one of them, which tends to work out for everyone, for the entire raid as it is, you're going to have usually a warrior and a druid baiting their seeds away from the rest of the pack, and then jumping into the remaining seeds to AoE them down, making things easier for the raid. That, however, griefs your DPS as a hunter, because in that specific scenario you're going to have 2, maybe 3 seeds being away out of range, not in the pack, so they're not going to get hit by your multi-shot and probably not by your trap either, so you're fucked. Another tactic that's often being used involves leaving the lava scions alive and letting just one player, cleave them down while also hitting Ragnaros. So obviously if you've got someone who is constantly AoEing 3 targets, as in Ragnaros and the 2 lava scions, that person is going to get a higher DPS and a better parse. But in turn, that griefs the raid. It griefs the healers, forcing them to heal the tank for more, for longer, and obviously it griefs the tanks as well. So it's a matter of will your raid allow you to grief it by doing this sort of shit. Now, the main complaint I've got with that, because every time I load Warcraft logs in a private browser, not logging in, not whatever, they go like, we work hard to offer you the best possible experience. And I would say in Firelands that's not actually true. They've not been working at all to offer anyone but griefers the best possible experience. To try to explain that, we have to go back to Wrath of the Lich King. To be more specific, we have to go back to Anubarak. And if we take a look at the last recorded raider, which was a pug and whatever, we can see this rule. Damage done to Nerubian borrowers is capped at 600,000 per player. Okay? So, why was this rule implemented? This rule was implemented because some people were abusing their power in the guild, being a guild master, officer, friends with someone, whatever, and they were griefing the raid. In the last phase, when everyone was supposed to just nuke down an Ubarak, they were actually AoEing constantly. They didn't care about killing the boss, they cared about their own parses. Often they were even wiping the raid by doing this sort of shit because Anubarak wasn't dying fast enough. And eventually someone would succumb to frost damage or whatever. Well, they knew that people would be willing to grief the raid by doing that sort of shit. So they put this rule in place, like if you're doing 1 million damage, we're only going to count 600,000 of it. GG, that's it. They did not bother to do that on any of these fights. On Lord Rylith, on Bestilac, they did not bother implementing any sort of common sense rule on Aris Razor, on Majordomo, or on Ragnaros. They're like, we're just going to mark these three fights as, giving you 0 points, so they're not going to count for your average. That's the lazy way out. And even if it had been the best method of dealing with this sort of shit, it still doesn't do anything about, let's say, Majordomo. It does nothing when it forces you to compare, to be graded, scored, whatever, against people who are using this exploit that I discussed earlier, where you're not getting the burning seeds. It does nothing on Ragnaros, where specific people are griefing the raid just to be able to AoE the ads and get higher parses. So that doesn't do jack shit. They've taken the very, very lazy way out of the problem here. So, guys, although you're saying you work hard to offer the best possible experience, with all due respect, you've done none of that in Firelands. You've not worked at all, never mind hard, and you've most certainly not offered the best possible experience. The website is great, the service is great, it can teach people lots and lots of things. So, well done on that to you, but on the best possible experience, no, not even close. Sorry, it is what it is. All you've done was you've promoted even more toxic behavior in raids, so that's not something I particularly enjoy. It's just my point of view. Other than that, the problem I've got with this thing, where you don't have some extreme rules in place, is that it kind of forces you to plan your WoW trip, your entire fucking expansion from day one. Let me show you what happens when you don't. Because these two hunters, I was playing them in pugs, GDKPs, whatever. At some point I was like, okay, I need to join a guild, I am bored of this pug bullshit. Here's how that went. And you can see that this conversation, this is just one example. I've got many of them, but I'm not going to go through all of them. Like, hello, yeah, what's up? Hey, I've just seen your ad. It appears that you're looking for a hunter for one of your 10-man groups. Yeah, we found one, but what are your logs, out of curiosity? And I'm like, well, they're probably not impressive. And don't get me wrong, these were something like 90 whatever, right? So not, green parses or some shit like that. But they were pugs and GDKPs. You can't really parse in that sort of environment, right? Because you've got to carry 5 people who are naked and, that sort of thing. And he's like, thanks, but we're looking for someone more experienced with good logs. So I said, yeah, all right, thanks for the answer. And that was the end of the conversation, as you can see. So what do I mean when I say that you need to plan your journey from day one? Well, you're always, and I mean always, going to have to aim for a better and better and better raid. Like, if you go to this sort of raids, the one I've been to where... Oh, sorry, wrong hunter. The one I've been to when I got this 99 here. So I was in a guild raid on this occasion, I think. Yeah, it was a guild raid. So instead of saying something like, oh, wow, I got a 99, that's cool, bro. What I should have said, if I wanted to chase that 100, would have been like, hey guys, all of you are fucking shit. Because it's just because of your low DPS that I did not get a 100. Fuck you, I'm leaving. That's what I would have had to say if I was, focused on that 100. And that's something that I would have had to do from day one of the expansion. Like, I can't afford to go to pugs, I can't afford to go to GDKPs, I can't afford to do jack shit. I have to keep hunting down those players who are able to push 99 or 100 because they are going to get DPS significantly higher, and as such they might end up pushing me over the line between 99 and 100. And that's something I would have had to do for the entire expansion. Now, these guys, The people in my guild, they are all nice people. They're like me, casual gamers, dead gamers, people with a job, people who go AFK during the raid because their baby is crying, that sort of thing. And I'm not saying that in any sort of negative way. I'm just like them. So again, casual player and whatever. But my point is that if you're chasing that 100, you cannot afford to play with these guys. People who are nice, social, whatever, no, just no, because they're not pushing 99, they're not pushing 100, so they're going to basically prevent you from getting that 100. And my issue with that is, how should I put this? Let me try to explain it in terms everyone can understand. There are two types of holidays. There is the type of holiday where you go with either with your parents or with your partner, depending on your age, like whether you're 12 or 21, and you just take things one day at a time. You try to have fun, to relax. You discover new things, you enjoy different things, and so on. That's the one type of holiday I enjoy. Like, yeah, let's go there, relax, have fun, see what we can do, see what comes up, that sort of thing. And then there is the second type of holiday, the one I absolutely fucking hate. It's the one where you've got either a Nazi parent or a Nazi partner. That was the case with me. I once had that sort of OCD girlfriend who just fucking she had to have a schedule for the entire fucking day, for every single day. Like 7 a.m. we wake up, 7:30 we're down at breakfast in the hotel. 8 we are going out of the hotel and going to this place, visiting this other thing, exploring this random bullshit. 10 a.m. we're taking the boat to go to that small island over there so we can get some pictures. 11 a.m. we're doing this and that, and so on. Like every single hour of every single fucking day was planned to the minute. That's the sort of holiday I cannot fucking handle. Like, honestly, after that holiday, we just broke up. Like, I don't want to be with someone like that. I don't give a shit. Like, it was, she did have her plus sides, which I'm not going to get into. It's not that sort of video, I'm afraid. But I couldn't be with someone like that. I did not want to live that sort of life. It's like, I'm happy for you. I hope you find someone just like you, someone who enjoys this sort of shit, but I'm not gonna fucking do that. I want to, go for a walk when I feel like it, to stop somewhere if I feel like it, even though I never planned to. I want to accidentally discover things, accidentally see things. I want life to be a bit of a surprise every now and then, that sort of thing, right? So that's how I try to play WoW as well. I try to enjoy the journey. I try to meet new people, make new friends, have a few laughs, talk about, various things. I don't know, social stuff, economy, politics, bad jokes, what fucking ever. But I don't want to constantly treat people as merely another commodity and split them into two categories, those who can help me get 100 and those who would drag me down from there. So I'm not willing to make that sort of sacrifice, and that's probably my problem. I have, because I do that, I have to also accept the side effect, which is that I'm not going to get a 100 anytime soon. So yeah, with these rules, where the guys at Warcraft Logs decided to ignore the whole griefing aspect, namely the fact that you've got to grief the rest of the raid if you want to get 100. I'm not gonna get there, not with the way I approach things, which is, like I said, trying to treat people like they're human beings and not just another commodity on my quest to the elusive 100 parse. It's not going to happen for me. It's not possible. It might have been possible on Bedrock had I not fucked up a lot. But yeah, that was it. So now Firelands is almost over, which is partially why I'm not going to try to get a better parse. Like, people are already on the PTR playing Dragon Soul, but it's a bit late to fix this sort of shit if we want to talk about fixing a 99. So I'm not going to bother with it. I'm just going to try to focus on the positive aspect, which is that, at least it's an improvement from the 97s I used to get in Wrath of the Lich King. Right? Can't complain about that. In short, it's been a fun experience, I would say. It's been fun to have those few seconds between opening up a log and seeing your ranking to see whether you're able to, if you've been able to get a 98, a 99, possibly even a 100, right? It has been interesting seeing how things went. It also had a few, let's say, less pleasant moments when the stars aligned for me in terms of procs and whatnot, but I could see that someone had died, they had to be combat rest, rebuffed, and I knew that even though the stars had finally aligned for me in terms of procs and whatnot, it wouldn't be a good parse because it just wasn't gonna happen. If there's something I'd like to see changed is the part I mentioned here, some specific common sense rules like how the fuck are you ranking people who are obviously exploiting on Majordomo against people who aren't, how are you ranking people who are griefing the raid on Lord Rylith, Bethilak, Alice Razor against people who are not doing that, how are you ranking people who are obviously griefing the raid by keeping ads up and whatever to get good parse for one person against people who are actually playing to kill the boss. I would have liked to see some common sense rules implemented here, but it wasn't the case this expansion either. It's probably not going to be the case in Dragon Soul or Mists of Pandaria either. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say on this topic. I hope you found some of it useful, some of it enjoyable, and yeah, see you next time.